Well, this morning, we have a new entry in the race for president. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand announcing her candidacy, while other candidates this weekend fanned out across a half-dozen states, and the undeclared Joe Biden making a major appearance.
That's right. The former vice president speaking at a Democratic Party dinner in his home state of Delaware, and maybe inadvertently revealing his intentions. ABC's Tara Palmieri has more from the White House. Tara, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. It's a growing field with over a dozen candidates, but all eyes are still on Joe Biden, who is slow walking his decision. But his pal, Senator Chris Coons, said he's all but certain that he'll run. This morning, New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand officially joined the crowded field of 2020 hopefuls, taking direct aim at President Trump in a campaign launch video titled "Brave Wins."
Brave doesn't spread hate,
falsehood,
cloud truth.
A lot of it's a hoax.
Build a wall. That's why I'm running for president. And it's why I'm asking you for your support.
Later this week, she'll hold a rally outside of the Trump International Hotel in New York City. In this recent Des Moines Register CNN poll that surveyed Iowa Democratic caucus goers, not a single respondent named her as a first choice. But in that same poll, Joe Biden, who has yet to announce his candidacy, is leading the pack. Overnight, Biden teasing his decision at a fundraiser in Delaware.
I'm told I get criticized by the New Left. I have the most progressive record of anybody running for the if anybody who would run. I didn't mean it.
Calling out President Trump with a message of unity.
Everybody knows who he is. They got to be clear of who we are. And we Democrats, we choose hope over fear.
Beto O'Rourke, after joining the caravan of Democratic candidates on Thursday, hitting the campaign trail in Iowa. Just days into the race, and he's already apologizing. First for a joke that he only sometimes helps his wife raise their children.
I'll be much more thoughtful going forward in the way that I talk about our marriage.
And then addressing a new report in Reuters, detailing his involvement in one of the U.S.'s earliest hacking groups and a disturbing murder fantasy he wrote as a teen.
I'm mortified to read it now, incredibly embarrassed. But I have to take ownership of my words and understand the way that they make people feel when they read them now.
It's still early in the game, but these Democratic candidates are already discussing their options for vice president. Senator Cory Booker said that if he has it his way, he'll choose a woman. And Beto O'Rourke, when pressed, said it would be difficult not to. Dan?
All right. Well, it's still very early. They may be getting ahead of themselves. Thank you, Tara Palmieri. We appreciate it. Let's bring in our chief anchor, George Stephanopoulos, who's going to be hosting this week.
Never too early.
Never too early? No. That's your rule? All right. Okay. We'll take you up on that. So what do you make of Joe Biden's slip of the tongue there? Is this guy all but in?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, listen, he could walk up to the line again and say, no, I'm not going to run. But he's been talking to potential financial supporters, been talking to potential staff. All signs are now that he wants to get into this race, and he comes in with a lot of advantages. He's widely liked across the Democratic Party. What Democrats are looking for most this time around is someone they think can beat Donald Trump. He scores high on that as well. But, you know, you just saw the slip of the tongue, one of his liabilities. Even setting that one aside, not too serious, but he has had trouble in the past making gaffes out on the campaign trail. Also, he is running in an environment where a lot of the energy on the Democratic side is with those who are far more left-wing than Joe Biden has been. The question is, even if he's a strong candidate against Donald Trump in the general election, can he get through the primaries?
That's the really tricky dynamic. Let me ask you about Beto O'Rourke. We saw in Tara's piece. He's doing a lot of apologizing these days, and he's just into the race. How do you think things are going in these early days?
His strengths and weaknesses go together. One of the things that everyone likes about Beto is that he's spontaneous, casual, relatable. It worked for him, even though he didn't win against Ted Cruz when he ran for Senate last year. But he's also learning that with a presidential race, you get a lot more scrutiny. So these are the growing pains of a presidential campaign. We'll see how he handles it over time.
I know on the show this morning, on This Week This Morning, you're going to be talking about the New Zealand attacks and the rise of white supremacist extremism and violence. Is enough being done on this front? Are officials taking this seriously?
Well, that's one of the big questions I want to ask this morning. I'm bringing in two former Homeland Security officials, Jay Johnson, who was Homeland Security Secretary for President Obama, Tom Bossert, who was the advisor on Homeland Security for President Trump, because we now have seen that, in fact, here in the United States, there have been three three times more deaths by white supremacist extremism than by Islamic extremism in the last years. The question is, are we doing enough to stop it? Can we control it? How do you deal with the fact that this is being weaponized over social media? Big questions for all of us.
George, thank you very much. Your show on Sunday morning is one of my favorite parts of the weekend.
Thank you, sir.
It's always a pleasure to see you. And I want to remind everybody, George has a big show this morning. As he said, in the aftermath of the New Zealand attacks, he's going to speak with the top Homeland Security officials for Presidents Obama and Trump, Jay Johnson and Tom Bossert. Plus, the Powerhouse Roundtable takes on the latest in the 2020 race. It's all coming up on This Week. Thanks again, George. We'll see you later.